Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spring Fever. As always, it's me, XFL Jim, joined by the one, the only. It is Uncle Rico in the house. Eric, what's up, dude?
No, you know what? I got no complaints, man. Ready for the USFL to start. Pretty excited. Looking at all these XFL teams trying to find an edge, maybe able to get a future, and we got CFL right around the corner. Stuff's moving, man.
Eric, if you think about it, this Saturday, we are 3 weeks away from the XFL starting.
That's absolutely absurd.
It's insane, right?
Yeah.
The XFL is approaching faster than you can comprehend, people. So on today's episode, we're going to be breaking down the St. Louis Battlehawks, our thoughts. They are the favorite to win the league. I'm going to start off with that. So we'll get into that. We also got USFL Hub talk. We have a little bit of other XFL news going on. Let's start with the USFL, however. The hubs are confirmed for the USFL, Eric. We have Birmingham, Memphis, Canton, Ohio, and Detroit, Michigan.
You know what? I may have to go to the game in Detroit. I'm assuming they're going to be playing it at Ford, right?
They're playing at Ford Field. So
my only worry there is even when Michigan, the Panthers play, since Ford is so huge, it's going to be looking really bare.
They might do a thing. So a couple XFL stadiums are doing it, and I assume the USFL hubs will do it, where they only are going to offer tickets for part of the stadium, so that it still looks like it's sold out or looks better on TV. Because I still think their main product is the TV, first and foremost.
Yeah.
I think they really just want enough people to fill out enough of a stadium to look good on TV.
That makes sense.
So the way that these are divvied up.
Some of those games in Alabama, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
They looked like nobody was there.
Some of them look pretty bad. So the way these are divvied up, Birmingham is going to be, obviously it's the Stallions. It'll have the Stallions and the Breakers. Memphis will have the Showboats and the Gamblers. Canton, Ohio will have the
Maulers?
No, the Generals and the Maulers.
Yeah.
And then Ford Field will have the Panthers and the Stars.
Canton seems pretty weird.
I think so. It's probably cheaper to rent out Canton than a lot of the other stadiums. It seems like they couldn't get one in either Pittsburgh or Jersey, I guess.
Okay.
And they have the USFL has a really good relationship with Canton, and the town seems to be really embracing it now. And I don't know about any of the other games, but the playoffs and the finals, the championship game, was great atmosphere. That could be because it was the championship game. But when I was there, it was sold out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a great game. I was entertained watching it from the friendly confines of my little nook.
It is interesting that that's the only stadium where there's no team based in Ohio.
There's no ties. That's the one thing. Yes, there was a championship game there, so you're naturally going to get the draw. But what's going to draw the people there just on a regular old weekend?
I guess maybe in Canton there's not too much else to do, and it does seem like a fun environment.
Okay.
So that could I don't expect huge crowds for the regular season in Canton.
But when you went there, one comment that you made to me that really stuck out was no one in the town knew that this was going on. So that's the one thing where I'm a little bit worried about it, where if no one in the town really knows what's going on, how many are going to go?
Hopefully, building up to this, because they have the USFL has almost 80 days until their season starts.
Mm-hmm.
They have time to sort of build hype within the community.
Okay.
And I don't know, 80 days till the season starts, that doesn't mean, they might have a home game in Canton week 1. I'm not sure. There's some weird stuff with some of these leagues. We'll talk about it with the XFL, but the St. Louis Battlehawks don't play a home game until week 4.
Wow.
Yeah. It was scheduling conflicts with the arena. But
okay.
it's still that sucks for what like is your like marquee fan base.
You don't have one till week 4. That's a little rough.
But I like that. I like the USFL. I like that they're expanding.
I think the main thing that the USFL has to do in these leagues is they kind of need to take a page out of the MLS. When the MLS was first starting up, I thought the big thing they did that was key was they did these little partnerships with local bars. You know what? I'm just saying, you know what? You got to make some local ties to get local people there, especially for a new product. Nothing that's
you have to ingratiate yourself into.
You can't. My whole thing, I've been saying this. You can't put something out there and just expect people to show up. You have to put the work in with the advertising, and that was my big gripe with the first year is I thought the advertising was half-ass.
Yeah, and I hope they do a better job, at least locally. Shout out Elliott. Yeah, even St. Louis will represent no matter what. That's just a fact. I hope they do a better job. You have, especially these leagues, you have to ingrain yourself within the community.
Mm-hmm.
The other bit of USFL news we have is there has been a sort of change. So we had a change from no more Tampa Bay Bandits. Now they're the Memphis Showboats. That's the only thing that's changed. King Optimus says the USFL just needs to keep doing what they're doing. I think they're doing a pretty good job of like slow and steady. I like that. I like that they moved. It sounded like their original plan was to do no hubs this year, like going in. I like that they're expanding, and then they just didn't say, oh, just one northern hub. Now they have 4 hubs. It's moving a little bit faster than I anticipated, and I like that for the USFL.
Yeah, I like the fact they have a couple more hubs, and everything is not in Birmingham.
The other bit we have, so we had the Tampa Bay Bandits completely changed to the Memphis Showboats. That's the only thing. They're still same roster. Todd Haley, angry-ass Todd Haley is still the head coach. Now they're just the Memphis Showboats. And I love the Showboats. But I don't like Todd Haley.
I hate Todd Haley.
But the other change in the USFL was for your team, the Pittsburgh Maulers. We bullied them enough. To change their uniform, their logo, their color scheme from purple and orange. So, like, everyone was complaining about it the whole time. And they transformed it into the Steelers colors. Black and yellow. This is a sick little animation. I haven't seen this yet.
That's a sick animation, but I like the old one.
You are such a contrarian.
I know, I'm a bastard. I am a piece of shit.
Why did you? So, I hated the old one. I thought they looked like really bad Clemson uniforms. I get going to the yellow and gold, changing to the Steelers, da-da-da-da-da.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Like, this one is fine. It just doesn't strike me. Like, you called it before we started. It's uninspired.
Yeah.
I do like, though, like, my pluses for it. King Optimus is asking who was the most recent hub. It was Ford Field in Detroit.
Yeah.
I like the black and yellow. I like that. So one of my big criticisms for the USFL in season 1, uniform-wise and logo-wise and everything, was like, every team was red.
Yeah, every team was basically...
Every team except for the Breakers was basically red.
Mm-hmm.
I like that now we have the Memphis Showboats who are blue and yellow, and now the Pittsburgh Maulers are changing it up and going black and yellow. It creates a nice variance in uniforms. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest, as much as uninspired as I'll call it, black and yellow for a uniform, like, they're all the Steelers, they look good.
Yeah, it's a good color combo together.
Like, the Steelers uniforms look great. Iowa's uniforms look great. These uniforms look pretty darn good.
Maybe I do have a Pittsburgh Maulers t-shirt from last year now. Is that vintage now?
I think at this point it is.
Okay. Now I have to buy a new one for this year.
So, yeah, we had new hubs for the USFL, new logo and, like, color scheme for the Maulers, and we're 79 days away from the USFL. Remember, folks, there's like a 3-week overlap of the XFL and USFL.
Are they going to be playing games on the same days?
The USFL has not released a schedule yet. I have to assume they're going to both be playing on Saturdays and Sundays, at least for chunks of it. Like we talked about it when we broke down the XFL schedule last week. The XFL has like 4 weeks where they play on a Monday or a Thursday or a Friday to shake it up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they're doing that more so in March, I think, to kind of get around like the busyness of March Madness.
Which makes sense.
I think for like April and May. So when the XFL, yeah, I think they're both playing on Saturdays and Sundays, probably.
I mean, that's going to be tough. Like I hate that idea. You know, but I get it. You know, you want the weekend.
So King Optimus Prime brings this up. 3 weeks shouldn't matter if you're a football fan. I'm going to be watching both leagues very much. But if they're playing at the same time, they are like literally fighting for live eyeballs.
Yeah, they're competing against
Not everybody's going to have like a dual screen setup of the USFL and XFL.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how the season plays out. I would assume the XFL would have an advantage, being as it's like the end of their season. It's the crescendo of their season. So you're like going into the playoffs and the championship game. But also, a lot of spring football, you see like a huge swell week 1 and week 2, and then it like dips.
Kind of dips.
But then it also comes back up. So it's going to be interesting. End of April is going to be very telling.
Yeah,
we're gonna get a lot of information. So spring football community is great. We're all kumbaya, love each other. You might see a lot of XFL versus USFL posts. I already said in April, XFL Gym and USFL Gym are gonna fight. So there's gonna be some fighting.
I'm looking forward to that fight.
But I'm excited. I'm like 3 weeks away from the XFL, then we go right into the USFL. And then the USFL and CFL overlap as well.
That's a lot of football, my friend.
It's a lot of football. It's a lot. There's nonstop football. Literally, it goes from the Super Bowl. Next week, we have XFL.
Yep, just boom, 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 boom.
Some people, I think the people that cover sports, like cover football more than we do here, like the college beat writers, the NFL, like diehards, those guys get burned out. I don't know if a lot of people get burned out.
I don't think a lot of people get burned out. Maybe like Schefter gets burned out, but
yeah, like Rappaport probably gets burned out.
Maybe, but he steals all the stuff from Schefter, so it really doesn't matter.
He does. Now we're to the meat, though, Eric. The St. Louis Battlehawks. Plus 350 to win the league.
You know what? I see it. I mean, they have a good offensive line, good defensive line.
They're really good at D-line. Head coach Anthony Becht. They're a good team. They're probably going to be a solid team. You want to just break it down by position?
Yeah, I mean, you got the local kid, Ryan Willis, mobile. Do you think, though, if he struggles, do you think they bench him for AJ?
I think AJ probably starts.
You think AJ starts? I thought they were going to go with Willis, and then
I think AJ starts. I think he has. I think out of all the players in the XFL, I think he has the second or the most NFL experience.
But it's just, what about Ryan's mobility, though?
That's fair.
I would want someone that can move, someone that can get some stuff on the ground.
Possibly. It depends. So it depends what they want to do on offense.
Yeah. Elliott thinks AJ is going to start.
Elliott thinks AJ is going to start?
Yeah.
I think AJ is going to start. I think he gets. I think they're going to he's at least going to get to start week 1. You see this with these leagues time and time again. So when in 2020 when I was previewing the Tampa Bay Vipers, I thought Quentin Flowers should start.
Okay.
Or Taylor Cornelius should have started. But they give it to Aaron Murray. Georgia stud, SEC prowess. But
Yeah.
I've seen Aaron Murray in every professional football setting he's been in. When he's not, I think he'd make like a great announcer.
Mhm.
I think he'd make a really good commentator. But seeing him in the AAF and seeing him in the XFL, he was terrible. I think AJ McCarron, no matter what, gets the start week 1. After that, who knows?
Yeah.
I think he gets the start week 1 though. So, what does Bruce Gradkowski want to do on offense?
Run the ball at the Ram, my man.
If he wants to run it, then I think I think AJ gets the start. I mean, I like the quarterback room. I do.
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know. Ryan Wilson, I think, is underrated. Moving on, though, we have the running backs. We got Mateo Durant, Brian Hill, Letty Brown, Kareem Walker, Charlie Tomopau. I probably didn't pronounce that right.
I mean, Durant, good north-south runner. With this offensive line, they're going to be able to move the chains. I think for sure, without a shadow of doubt, everyone knows he's going to be the bell cow bat. They'll lean on him, I think, early in the season. I think week one in this DFS slate, if you can really find an edge and find someone that's going to put up a lot, you're going to have an advantage on the field. And I think Durant's that guy. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to come off the gate and just have a huge game right away, especially running behind this offensive line.
And we'll get to that because that's the main factor for this team. Wide receiver room, Marcel Aitman, Darius Shepard, Dante Dye, Austin Prohl, George Campbell, Steve Mitchell, Gary Jennings, Hakeem Butler, Naquan Murray, Caleb Van Der Esch.
I mean, I think they got a good one too.
I think it's solid. I think their receiver room's like a solid 7, 8 out of 10.
Yeah. I think they got a good one too. They got the big body wide receiver that can high point a ball. They got a good running mate in Goodwin. When Shepard, excuse me. I think you can make an argument that could be the best duo in the league.
They're really good, and like Prohl's just he's that like shifty guy. He's the Austin Prohl's he's the spring football like white guy receiver where he's like, oh, he's shifty. He's a work pail guy. He's just constantly lunch pail guy. Caught the first. Every time he's brought up, caught the first touchdown in the XFL in 2020.
Part of history, my friend.
Part of her history. King Optimus right there. Austin, yeah, damn right he has spring experience in spring leagues. Damn right he is. I think Hakeem Butler's a little underrated on this lineup too. Iowa State was pretty darn good for Iowa State.
Phenomenal for Iowa State.
This is a good receiver room.
It's a solid receiver room. And we need to not forget about my boy, Jalen Smith. He's basically, even though he's in the tight end, he's going to be another wide receiver.
Exactly. Right in the tight ends. Oh, before that, Austin Prohl is the Julian Edelman of spring leagues. Yes. Tight ends, Jalen Smith, Jordan Thomas, Giovanni Haskins, Jake Sutherland. These will get, some of these guys are going to get cut. Yeah. I know they've recently gone to 70. We don't have the full rosters, but it's going to be interesting. Jalen Smith's good.
Jalen Smith's really good. Real quick, cool Kev, bet Tyler Boyd over 30.5 yards receiving. Devontae Smith over 65.5 yards receiving.
I like Eric just slipping in. Beautiful moneymakers.
Dude, my boy Kev's asking a question, dude. I gotta let him know.
You gotta
let him know where my head's at.
Receiver room, I think, is solid. Give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. I think a lot of their rooms are solid to good.
I think the receiver room is good because they have a good 1-2. I think the tight end is basically going to be, how can I word this?
I would move Jalen Smith more to like the
wide
receiver part of it.
Yeah. But I think he's going to get, you know what I mean? How can I word? I'm spacing on the word. I'm sorry. He's basically going to be a wide receiver, like you said. Sorry.
Yeah. He's not, they don't really have a lot of like blocking tight ends.
Yep.
But now we move to the offensive line. Jared Jones-Smith, Shane Carpenter, Steve Gonzalez, Jay Williams, Deshaun Dixon, Bryce Foxworth, Christian Olmstead, Juwan Bushell-Beatty, Vidal Alexander, Travis Feedy, Jovan Wolford. This offensive line's fucking good, dude.
Offensive line's legit. I mean, my first note is talent. A lot of talent. They have size and they have talent. They're going to be able to win this point of attack. And we've seen in these spring leagues, if you have a good offensive line, it's going to be so important because you're going to be able to set up the run. When you're able to set up the run, you're able to open up the passing game. And in these leagues, this is just absolutely huge, actually, in any form of football.
Bushel Beatty's a major get. So I've talked about this with Chase before, too. I love in these spring leagues, like, even if you don't know the names of some of these guys, you can be a little bit biased and be a little bit, like, casual and just look at the schools they're from. When you see, like, SEC people, Big Ten people, especially on the offensive and defensive lines, those are good players.
Yes. When you see an SEC offensive lineman, they are the real deal.
It's just a straight up fact. This offensive line is going to be, and we say it time and time again, it's the most important position group, especially for these spring leagues, because it's the slowest to like develop. These guys have to gel.
Yeah, 100%.
And starting off with the talent that the Battlehawks have is going to be a massive advantage.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive line: LaCall London, Kevin Atkins, Elorni Loomer, Galen Robinson, Seth Walter, Damian Daniels, Freedom Akamiladun, Shakir Soto, Mike Penasuik. Another, by the way, Freedom from the USFL. It's in the USFL grab that the XFL got.
Yep.
And he was good, the USFL.
He was really good. Another good, potentially one of the best. They have some size. They have some guys in the middle that can eat some space, allow the pass rushers to get home. When we look at it, trenches, they have some really solid trenches.
This is where this team excels, and this is why they're the favorite. Is in the trenches, this team is stacked. I like this point that King Optimus Prime brings up, by the way.
Great.
These guys are fighting for another chance. They're not in the NFL. They're not like settled. These guys are fighting for their lives. They're putting it all out on the field. Like, some people talk about the NFL. Obviously, those guys are playing super hard. Obviously. But they've made it. They're there.
They're at the dance.
These guys are trying to get in the door.
Mm-hmm. Get your foot in the door, get noticed.
From the people we've interviewed and the people I've interviewed that are like spring football players, they are some of the most driven and hungry people I've ever met.
100%.
Some would call them like, I don't mean this in like a derogatory term because I actually love it. It's like a weird delusion.
Mm-hmm.
Like where they trick themselves into thinking that they're going to be in the NFL. And they are. But not everyone can. Like I trick myself a lot of the times to being the best that I could be. It's kind of like putting yourself into a nice illusion of excellence.
Yep.
And these guys are fighting for their lives, and I love it. Moving on to the linebackers: Lakeem Williams, Willie Harvey, Drew Singleton, Mike Rose, Silas Kelly, Carson Wells, Trey Watson, Marvin Moody. I like Trey Watson. I liked him at Maryland. Trey Watson is a good pickup in the supplemental draft.
Yeah, linebacker room solid. How do you feel about their overall speed in that position, though?
Not great. I mean, this is probably better for the run stoppage.
Yeah.
If anything. Like, I really, really like their lines. The linebackers and DBs, I like a little bit less.
This would be the question mark for me.
Moving on to their DBs, we got Ben DeLuca, Quentin Meeks.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you look at these guys in their college, they all had some issues in coverage. Back to the linebackers, a couple of them had some issues being able to just wrap up and tackle. So that's basically my issue with this team is the linebacker and the back four. I mean, if this team is legitimate, that those guys are going to have to be able to show up.
The big test for this team, I think there's two teams that'll really put the Battlehawks defense to the test. I think that's the Seattle Sea Dragons, and I think that's the Houston Roughnecks. Both playing a type of run and shoot offense that's going to be throwing the ball over the place. These DBs are going to be tested. Who do they play week 1? Who do they open the season with?
You, Jimbo, already diving into some.
I have it written in my planner right here. So they start out the season versus the Brahmas.
Do you have a line on that yet?
No, we don't have any lines yet. Give it. I bet Super Bowl weekend we'll have lines. Or the books will post them right after the Super Bowl.
I bet you that. Yeah.
King Optimus Prime is going to be at the game.
Nice.
San Antonio home opener.
Nice.
Pretty sure they're playing in the Alamo Dome.
They are in the Alamo Dome.
Which is sick.
I'm pretty sure, yeah. They are at the Alamo Dome.
They are, and that's also where the championship game is going to get played.
Which is great. That place for UTSA games can be rowdy as hell. And it was the AAF play there, right?
Yeah, the Guns San Antonio Commanders. The Commanders. Yeah. San Antonio Commanders. Go quick run through of their DBs. Ben DeLuca, Quentin Meeks, Brandon Sebastian, Evan Fields, Elijah Hamilton, Jonathan Alexander, Lucas Dennis, Mike Hampton, Allie Green, Nate Meadors, Chris Cooper, Keyshawn Walker, Phil Campbell, Bryce Watts. Some pretty good guys here. Not a lot of huge standout names, but
oh wow, King Optimus is going to be on the field.
What was that?
King Optimus.
He's doing photography.
Yeah, he's going to be on the field.
That's badass. Good job, man. Cool.
That's awesome.
That's
dude.
Sick.
Yeah.
Like we said, I think the issue and the key for the Battlehawks, I think they'll be fine stopping the run. I think the defensive line will be able to rush the quarterback.
And if you're able to get to the quarterback, make him go through his progressions, that's going to help.
I think that's going to help bolster maybe a potentially weak defensive backfield.
100%. 100%.
Moving on to the special teams. We got, what do we got here? The punter, Sterling Hoffricher, Donald Hageman as the kicker, and Alexander Matheson as the long snapper.
Yeah.
I think fine.
That's serviceable.
Yeah, I'd call it serviceable. I think a lot of special teams in this league are going to be labeled as serviceable.
Yeah.
But I think fine. So what do we think of the Battlehawks overall? Once again, updated odds. Battlehawks 350. What other teams we talked? Renegades 4-1. Roughnecks 6-1.
I'll take the Roughnecks.
That 6-1's juicy, dude.
Yeah.
King Optimus Prime is asking who's Marquette King with. He is with the Dallas Renegades. Or Arlington Renegades, sorry.
Yep.
That was a good pickup special teams wise for them.
That was a phenomenal pickup.
I like the Battlehawks. I love their offensive and defensive line. 350 is just a number I can't get behind. It's just it's
way too short.
Yeah, it's just too short of a number.
Way, way, way too short.
I like them, though. I like them a lot, and I'm going to have fun rooting for them. So my goal this year, Eric, is I'm going to try and make it to one XFL game in the championship game and one USFL game in the championship game.
Okay.
That's my goal.
It's good to have goals, my friend. You know what my mom says. You only live once. Make it happen.
So right now, let's just take a quick gander at all the futures for the spring leagues. XFL, I think where the numbers are at, I like the Roughnecks at 6-1.
Yep.
If the Seattle Sea Dragons drop, if they go higher than 4-1, I might get on them.
Okay.
But at the number they're at 4-1, not a fan. USFL, the favorite is the Stallions, 3-1. Not a fan. But every other team, except for the Generals, also 3-1. Every other team is bumped up. Gamblers 6-1, Panthers plus 650, Breakers 5-1, Stars 5-1, Maulers 7-1, Showboats 5-1.
The Showboats.
Breakers breaking in a new quarterback. Generals new quarterback. I assume the Panthers. They haven't done a draft or anything like that. Maybe they stick with Paxton Lynch. Showboats new quarterback. Stars new quarterback. So half the teams in the USFL are bringing out a new quarterback.
Dude, I'll go with the Fighting Kevin Sumlins.
You're going to go with the Gamblers. I will never bet on Kevin Sumlin ever. Bobby Thomas. What team's next week, by the way? I'll let you pick, Eric.
Oh, God. Let's go to San Antonio, dude.
Let's do the Brahmas. Brahmas next week, baby. I love a little Juwan pass in my life.
You love a little Juwan in your life?
Let's finish it up and look at the CFL.
I'll tell you who's not going to win it, and I hate to break it to my boy Bobby. It's not going to be the Panthers. It's not the Panthers. No.
Especially if they keep Paxton Lynch in there.
It's just, well, with Big Jimbo Fisher, no way.
Oh, it's
Big Jim.
Jeffrey.
Big
Jim. Jeffrey.
Big Jim. I call him Jimbo.
Looking at the CFL, Bombers are plus 185.
Jesus.
They'll probably make it again is the thing. They're so good. The Lions are plus 425 with no Rourke.
Interesting.
Stampeders plus 475, Alouettes 650, Argonauts 650, Ticats 8-1, Red Blacks 10-1, Rough Riders 12-1, Elks 18-1.
I will say
this is a way look ahead.
I'll say this. What was the one team you and I were high on that disappointed?
Hamilton.
No.
Also Ottawa.
Ottawa at the beginning of the season, man.
Hey, if Masoli's back?
To me, you got to go with Ottawa because you go with Ottawa, and then, you know what I mean? Like, that's the team in my eyes that has the value.
Still in, 3 years has not won a home game. So.
First time for everything, man.
Them and the Elks. Them and the Elks, baby.
Them and the Elks? Come on. They're better than the Elks, dude. That's my pick right now. If I had to make a pick to win it, based on the odds, I'm going to take Ottawa.
I'm going to go with I might go with the Alouettes plus 650.
Okay. Yeah, Cowboys are done, man. Yep. RIP to the Cowboys. Let's be honest. In that game, as soon as Pollard went down, you knew they weren't going to win that game.
No, not a chance. So we got the Brahmas on deck. We've got 1, 2. We did the Defenders too, didn't we? Have we done the Defenders yet?
We did the Defenders, yep.
So we've done the Renegades, the Battlehawks now, the Roughnecks, and the Defenders. We've got 4 teams left. So we're doing the Brahmas. We're going to have to double up one of these weeks.
Okay.
We got the Brahmas, the Vipers, the Guardians, and the Sea Dragons.
Let's do Seattle and San Antonio next week.
I like it.
Let's double up on those 2 next week.
I like it. Let's do it. Let's make it happen, baby. This has been Spring Fever, folks. Next couple weeks, we might talk a little ELF. They've been having some movement going on in there. I know their league is getting way bigger. But there's a lot going on. Spring football is a busy, busy market at the moment. Eric, speaking of busy markets, what do you got going on in life?
I got my podcast coming out tomorrow. My boy David and I, we're going to tell you what bets to lock in for the NFL weekend. Business casual.
Listen to him about the NFL. Don't listen to me because I am ice cold with the NFL.
Business casual 3-1 last week. I think that brings us up to 34, 21-3 on the podcast, giving out picks. My boy Nick and I, we're going to build a DFS lineup, and Gino is going to tell you what bets to lock in at Gulfstream Park this weekend, and I'm going to complain about Frank Wright being hired as the Panthers head coach.
You don't like that move, huh?
No, I don't like that move. I don't like that move. I don't like Nathaniel Hackett going to
the Jets.
The Jets, and I have the plan. If I'm the Buffalo Bills, you call me. I will tell you who you need to hire, and you're winning a championship next year.
The NFL is nothing if not incestuous. Thank you all for watching. We'll tune in next week to another episode of Spring Fever. We love you guys. Bye-bye.